Okay, welcome back to Word Blindness, Dyslexia Exposed. I am Juliette Hahn here with my co-host Brent Sopel. How are you?
See, I am, huh?
No, see, I actually, no. I looked back, and that's how I always say it. I think you're just like, I actually looked back because when you said that, I was like, did I say it weird?
Did you look back or listen back?
I listened back. I did both. I looked back
so you
and
saw
then
thunder,
listened.
okay, and heard lightning, okay.
Exactly. But I did because I was like, oh, I did say that. And then I was like, wait, I feel like I always say that. So I did listen back. So it's something that you're hearing, which is kind of funny in a different way. Because that's how I think maybe you haven't listened to the beginning. You haven't listened to shit. And all of a sudden you're like, wait, so I'm going to throw it back at you.
I listen to my stalker every day.
Yeah. So shut up. So you haven't listened. Okay, well, welcome back. And I am, because how else do you introduce yourself? This is? No, because then that would be like,
look at me, asshole.
Seriously, how would you introduce yourself?
I am not the Juliette Hahn.
No, fuck you. That's a double fuck you. Okay, well, we are in January. We always like to preference because we've had a lot of episodes that we recorded before the new year. And then we took a nice holiday break.
I tried to take a holiday break. You're like, no, we got a tape. We need a tape. You know, I told you I'm going to stalk you. I got to continue to stalk you. So you did.
Oh, God. Oh, I see where this is going. Well, so we've had, how many interviews did we do before the holiday and right?
You know, and it's crazy how many, after, you know, getting where we are, what do we, you know,
we're in season 3.
3 and 3, you know, we are taping obviously towards the end of January, but how many dyslexics are willing to now come on and talk?
Mm-hmm. Right. This season 3, we're going to have more episodes because we've had, you know, here and there, we did the Dyslexic Awareness Month. That was our first year. And we had 4, right? So October, we had 4. And then we've had like ones here and there. We've talked about having people on, and then it like there's a lot of times it didn't line up, or we were like, okay, it didn't work. But then all of a sudden we've had a lot of people kind of come out and be like, you know, we've been listening, we're really connecting with the podcast. We would like to share a little bit more about our story.
And which is obviously that's why we started this, and you know why we do this, you know, weekly is to make people okay with it. You know, we've talked about this, you know, a number of times about, you know, advocating or for yourself. You know, you can't advocate if you don't understand. Yeah, that's the first thing, and then you can't talk about it if you're not okay. And I think that's probably the biggest you know issue, you know, in the dyslexic world, and we talk about this all the time. You know, the embarrassment. The embarrassment makes us not okay to talk about it. The people that want to talk about it, that are, you know, killing the kids one at a time, are the people that are, you know, pushing policies, the researchers, you know, the scientists, the people that don't have it. Oh, they're talking about because it's great. It's a great thing because they're not us. Mm-hmm. And I had a call with a buddy of mine, Shane. You know, he's living in South Carolina. Yeah, you know, he's obviously very dyslexic. It's him and his wife, and golf pro. He used to spend half the time here in Illinois and half the time in Arizona, you know, with the weather. And his wife would run the pro shop in his schedule because he sure couldn't do that. And he talked about some interesting things on the call yesterday, and he said he'd be happy to come on. You know, and that's a guy that I never thought would. You know, and he's struggling. He said, Brent, you know, got a lot of great things going. They end up bought a golf course with an investment group, and they just bought another one. They're doing this huge community, but he's like, I've lived in the negative my whole life that I can't see a positive. I'm like, oh, no truer words have been spoken. You're not alone, because that was an interesting way he put it. I don't know. I've never heard it put that way, because we're always work harder. We're always dumb. We're always lazy, right? All the negative. Words are going to fail. We can't do this. We can't do the simple thing. And Shane's, I guess he's probably a little younger than you and I, but doing great, for what they're doing and what they got, what they bought, and just huge community, new golf courses, like just amazing. He's like, I can't enjoy it.
And what's really interesting, as you were talking, I was thinking, because my other podcast, we always say, like, people actually do enjoy talking about themselves when they're comfortable in what they are doing. Right. So I'm constantly like, oh my, I can't keep up with that. Right. And then I look here and I'm like, we're looking for people to come on that are dyslexic. And how many times have we had people say, I listen, I'm not ready. And it's so different, right? It's so different than you're talking about your business and you're doing this. This is like, you're talking personal, raw stuff. And I think a lot of people, we know a lot of people are just not, like, they're not comfortable. They're not ready. They don't know where it's going to go. They maybe haven't obviously dealt with a lot of things. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting, because by the time this comes out, the episode with Bradley and Montgomery will come out. And both of them said, they were talking about Bradley was talking about his friend Frank, that when he went to Fletcher, he was like, oh, I've overcome dyslexia, right? I don't have it anymore. Montgomery, before he went to college, said the same thing. He was like, Mom, stop. I don't have it anymore. Southport helped me. And then that first year where on the soccer field, where it came out again. And he's like, holy shit, my dyslexia has never gotten in the way of my soccer, because it's always been so natural to him, but then everything was different. It's got to that next level. And I think there's so many people now listening to this, that your friend, one of them, because I said to you, interesting, is this like the first time you think his dyslexia has ever, I don't want to say reared its head, but got in his way, or what the path that he was on, it maybe was a gift and it never got in the way. And we talk to so many people that talk about their dyslexia as a gift. And yes, that is amazing, because it can be a gift. But what happens, back in those times? How many times have we had people being like, oh no, I don't want to talk about back then.
Well, and like me, I want to watch the same TV show. I'll never turn on a movie. I'll eat the same food. Why? Because I know it's okay. I know I can do that. I know I can handle that. And Shane, 100%, he had a very successful career, working at some very high-end golf courses. He was here, but then he was down in Denver. He was the head guy at Cherry Creek Country Club. Big money, right? Downtown Chicago, or downtown Denver. And then they went out. So he was in his space. He was in his element. Now that you are building the course, now that you're, part of an investment group, now you got investors, you got this, right?
You got paperwork.
You got paperwork. You've got other things that you've never had. So people, how can you do the same thing over and over again? Go back to my hockey. I had the fucking whack job routines, rituals, whatever, however you want, because I knew it worked. I never did something else because I was petrified that it wouldn't work. So I'm not even going to try it. Food to how I'm driving there to this. Yeah, I know it works. I'm not trying anything else. Why would I try anything else? I know it works.
Yeah. And there's it's so interesting because I'm trying to think of where I was and we were talking about change and routine. And I am very routined. Like I was actually, I think it was when my dad and his wife were here, my stepmom, because I actually had her listen to the raw edit, like before we edited the episode with Montgomery and Bradley. Mm-hmm. And Montgomery was talking about, and I don't want to give too much away. Well, there are people already listened to it, but he was talking about, all of the things that he couldn't do. And she looked at me because she's like, can you pause for a second? And she's like, my heart is absolutely broken right now. She's like, I can't even fathom going into things not knowing. Like, and I was like, Cindy, that's everyday life. But what's interesting is, and this is where like I would love like a psychologist like us to talk. By the way,
over here, how can I help you?
Yes, no, right. We play one on TV. Actually, one of our recent Instagram posts, Ryan Hill, who is, I don't know if you've been following him. He's everywhere. I think he's in Tokyo.
Whack Job I think he's in Japan right now skiing.
Yeah, skiing. Yeah. And yesterday was his 5-year anniversary of going into cardiac arrest.
Oh, was it?
Mm-hmm. And so he commented on our post for word blindness of the episode that also has already gone out, the one on the mental health with athletes with Grayson. And he said, you guys should really talk to my brother. He's a psychologist. I think he said, I forget what he said, but it was a word that I had to read like 5 times. So I was like, I need to look that up. And so he was like, you should really talk to someone about that or talk to him just to have him on because there's a lot of interesting things. And one of the things that I find very, very fascinating, and I always am like, is it the self-confidence? Is it I know you're going to read it and be like, what? I read it really fast.
Yeah, no,
I think it said PDF. It was something. And I was like, I don't even know that was like a avenue. But the thing that I find fascinating,
geriatric,
which is old people, right?
I don't know. Isn't that the circus people?
I don't think so. I think it's old people, but I didn't know that there was
geriatric psychiatrist. He could be helpful on a lot of mental health stuff.
Yeah, so I thought it was interesting, but I also thought,
Elizabeth,
this is something
geriatric, young, old.
That's all. I think it's old people.
Old.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that is that. But what I find really fascinating is when people talk about change. Like I love change, but I'm also, and I always think, is that my attention deficit? Like I get like more, and I'm like, oh, I love change.
Yeah, let's dive this before you go too far back. So you just said you're very routine, right?
I am very routine. Yes.
Okay, so you're very routine. Now you love change. Okay, now you're talking 2 different things here. You love your routine in your life, but you like change of I'm going to go from rye bread to white bread.
No, I like big. I like unknown, being like, I don't know where it's going to go. I love that dreaming. Like I could pick up and move.
Dreams.
I do. I love to like pick up and be like, I could move to any place and I know I would be fine because I'd figure out my routine. I'd be a little uncomfortable, but I love.
It'd be new attention hat. Look at me.
I don't think that's what it's fucking. Listen, you. I don't know that maybe it is. Maybe that's what it is. I love that, but then I don't like. So what I was talking. This is what I was talking to Cindy about. Is like when the kids were little, and we've talked about this before. I was so strict and so routine because if I let it go to the other side, it would have been a fucking free for all because I am really fun. Like I am fun, but if it got too fun, forget it.
Who said you're fun?
I say I'm fun. It would go sideways. So I had to be very like, this is the time you go to bed. This is what I had to be so routine with them so I can control that situation. Right? Sounds like what?
It sounds like Paul.
Right. Totally. Yeah. And it was like a very weird, especially for Dan, who was like, oh my God, you were like this wild person that was like, oh yeah, I'm up for anything. The second kids came, I was like, they need to be in bed here, because I knew if they weren't rested, they were going to be assholes. They wouldn't have slept. If they had too much sugar, they're like, I was so, and that's where my anxiety, like I'd be like, okay, I have this tomorrow for them, so I need to make sure it's this. I was so, I don't want to say tightly wound, because I don't know if someone might be like, okay, you might think you were tightly wound, but like, that's tightly wound. Do you know what I mean? But for me, I was tightly wound in their routines. However, I could have picked up and moved and gone anywhere. And so I like that kind of change. I like experiencing like new jobs, new this, new that, which is, it's kind of like, well, my mom always said, you're like one way this way and then your other way. Like none of you don't make any fucking sense.
You're a nut job.
Takes one to know one.
Well, I'm completely a whack job.
But do you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's an interesting thing. But are you the same sort of where you have, like, yes, you have to eat, you have to watch the same show, all of that, but you can pick up and go anywhere, like talking about your Russian years.
Well,
like I was like,
but here's, and so I was, I'm going back, obviously I got traded at 16 years old. Different house, different team. I was always on always at a different team. Yeah, I think I was on the same team, a couple of years because of age. Then I was always playing up level, so I was always changing. My nickname when I played pro hockey was Samsonite. I got traded so many times. All the baggage I had with me. Right. I lived. I don't even know how many teams. I probably have to go. I was like 7 NHL teams, pro, 12, 14 different pro teams, how many different countries. I had no choice. But was I ever, now that we're talking about, I was never comfortable, right? Because I never connected, but I never had anything. The only thing that I had was my routine and the game. So maybe that's, can I pick up and leave? Yeah, grandma and I go 100%. I got grandma, but I was forced into that. My whole life.
But it was the anxiety and all of that stuff was really because it's like, this could end. So like, if you think about it, was it more of that part, but you actually are okay with the change part and all of that because you have your routines, you can rely on your routines, but it's more of like, is this going to be my last game? Am I going to have to go to the real world? Like, if you think about it, it's so, as you say, the onion.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Peel the onion back. I don't like change.
A lot of people don't.
No, it's, I don't. And, the thing about it is I've always had it. For an example, people are like, oh, what do you want to do? If you could travel anywhere in the world and it was free, where'd you go? I'm like, nowhere.
Right.
Because I never had being home.
Right.
So, I don't know. Can I pick up and go? Yeah, you should see all the friends come flocking through the door here all the time. Grandma's like, well, you got to slow this down here. No. Vince came over. Oh, so that's where you live. Oh, yeah, we've been friends for a couple of years. You decided to come because you had to get a parking ticket or some bullshit. Safe place is home. But going somewhere new, hate it. Elizabeth got the taste of it when we had to go downtown for NBC. I always got to be early. So if I'm running late or just cutting in time, my anxiety, and that's all from my hockey. I wasn't just getting there and being there and just knowing that I'm there. Just people just show up on time and they have no problem being late. Or I do.
Yes, but you also talked about that's also because you don't want to feel stupid. Like, oh my God, I need to ask someone like for help.
Who did we talk? I just talked this recently. There's times where I know the price is wrong and I won't even correct them because I'm afraid to.
Oh, right.
Like, there's times where I go and open up an email. I won't because I'm afraid what it's going to say.
Mm-hmm.
So I live a pretty fucked up life and of fear
Right.
and
And you know what?
rejection and
Right.
whatever all those other words that come into, and I'd look at them in the dictionary, but I wouldn't find them.
No, but it is a very an interesting way as you're painting it, because there's times where like, right, I might know something is wrong, but then I'm like, well, maybe is it? Or I'm questioning myself because I'm like, my math, I am so awful at it that I'm not going to be like, I don't know, because I need to like, so there's certain avenues of my life, 100%, that I like, we talked about this as a family, talking about each kid, how they are with money. Right. And it's interesting to see who's maybe going to be okay with money and then who's not. And it's like, okay, I didn't predict that at all, but like, I am awful because I have no sense of it. I over tip because I don't know how to calculate. I mean, I never want to under tip because I don't want to look cheap, so I will over tip. And one of my kids is very much like that. And I'm like, it's because he's not calculating. And I know that. And it's actually not the kid that everyone is like, oh, I know who it is. No, you don't. Actually, it's very
Grandma's
interesting.
Rain Man. So she's,
Yeah.
all these shows, thank God. But I would always, I've never once did the math because I can't.
No, me, right.
So,
I don't even know how to put it in the calculator. They're like, no, this is what you do, or you take the decimal and move it.
Decimal is like taking a gun to my head.
Yeah. And I tried, and we've dove into this. And if anyone hasn't listened, if you listen back, like you'll hear about my first like real job other than babysitting on the beach when I was a cashier. And yes, I did it, it still sometimes makes me laugh because it's like, I can't believe I had the balls to do that because I had no sense, but
just
I was
like
at the beach with cute boys, whatever.
I think we were talking. I still to this day remember when I was at an autograph session in Vancouver, and then I had to spell the name George, and I had no idea.
Yeah.
I remember sweating, panicking, went to the bathroom, and the cell phones. This is pre
like smartphone where you could look it up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was pre, what is it, number one, where it was like, what is it?
Yeah. Whatever, F, D, G, whatever.
Yeah. Where's keypad? Yeah. So number two is A, B, So I sat probably 15, 20 minutes trying to figure out how to spell George.
I know. And right. And because again, we talked about this, and then asking, like someone's going to go too fast. Like there's so many times where someone's like, oh, hey, just take my cell phone or just write my email down. And I start fucking sweating because I'm like, oh my God. And I always copy it wrong. And then I'll be like, and now I will say, can you just look at this and make sure I have it right? I am comfortable saying that, but it doesn't always feel great. Right. And especially if you're in a rush and you're really trying and it's like, oh, I took the
people always ask for autographs. Yeah, no problem. But I will never, ever ask, who should I address it to? Never.
No, because people's names are also, everyone spells their name different. Like it's
like there's 17 ways to spell Sean.
Mm-hmm.
My buddy I grew up with, he's like, you haven't seen Scene, you haven't seen Shawoon, you've seen Sean. So that's how
actually really funny.
That's exactly what he used to say. But then all of a sudden, there's a new one. The guy I played against, Sean, who was SHJ.
Yeah.
So now, literally, if somebody asks, "Can you make it out to whoever?" I ask how to spell every name because now everybody wants to come up with all these names. And Elizabeth and I were talking about names just recently. I don't know, like just some.
Yeah.
Oh, there was saw an article about a mom. She's deaf, single mom, five boys. One played in the NHL just recently. They're all O's. Ozzy, Orca, And I couldn't even
Oscar, I'm sure.
Oscar. Yeah, like orca. How do you spell that?
I mean, is it like orca the whale, right? I don't know.
You know, it'd be a good one though. Elizabeth probably would go with this. You know, pastas, spaghetti, linguine, right?
Fusilli.
A what?
Fusilli.
What the fuck is fusilli?
Look it up. It's a pasta.
I'll see.
I got a little Italian.
I thought you were Jewish.
That's the New Yorker in me.
Yeah. Oh, you can hit that accent clearly. Okay. Oh God.
Made your eyes water, huh?
Wow.
That was impressive, right? A little bit.
Who is it? Kanye? Was it North and West?
Oh, North and West. Right. Yep.
Well, what happened to East and South?
Yep.
That's racist. Where are the other two? Come on. You can't
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Huh?
Gwyneth Paltrow, her daughter, I think was Apple, and someone. I mean, there's like, yeah.
What about Orange?
Right.
Didn't somebody have a daughter named Cinnamon too?
I don't know Cinnamon.
That
sounds like a porn name. Sorry.
Now featuring the Cinnamon.
Or cooking. I guess I don't know why I went there, but sorry.
People name. So I'll always ask now, but I will never offer to write somebody's name.
Right.
Like who do you want to address? Never. If they ask me to can you write it to somebody, then I will now ask every single.
But don't you sweat? I mean, you sweat because as they're saying it, it's like it's because our brains, and this is what it's slow to process. And I giggled because it sounds like, but it literally comes out of the person's mouth, and then it takes me like I have to then be like, okay, I have to say the letter in my it's not an automatic thing, and that's where people don't realize that's a part of dyslexic, just whatever it is. It's part of all of 5Ds mushed together. I don't know which one screams for that.
And how many fights I've gotten in fans with.
Right.
Show some more respect. That's how you sign your name.
So rude.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's just so, first of all, that's so fucking rude.
Yes, my writing sucks. We've had 3 envelopes being returned by the postman because he can't even read it. So now Elizabeth's got to write it out. Yes.
Yes. And well, that's the thing with dysgraphia, Montgomery talking about, you still can't read his handwriting. Mm-hmm. So think about as you are living life and you are a normal, awesome person, this one thing that people don't understand, and they just think, oh, you're busy, or you're being a dick, right? Because you're scribbling. It's so, I remember him coming home that one day and being like, Mommy, everyone says that I Scrabble. And I was like, oh, how do
I Scrabble?
Mm-hmm. Scrabble. So it's just one of those things that people need to be gentler with others, not judge.
Scrabble.
Yeah. Right. I mean, and it's not something that if you could choose to write very clear, I mean, I can read your handwriting, but it is like a dysgraphic handwriting. You can see it, but,
color coordinated. I think I got a few different colors on there. We got orange, we got green, we got yellow, we got pink. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's the way you also process it, right? You have to write it. And that's where it's a mind fuck. It's like, oh, hey, hey God, thanks for that. I have to write it to process it in my brain. However, I can't write. And so it's just all these things we need to be gentler on ourselves and people, but and maybe ask hey, you seem like you're uncomfortable, or it's I don't know. There's just a lot of.
And we don't ask.
No. So that is another thing, because I said to you this year, right? My goal for you is that you ask for help more.
Ask for help.
I was actually thinking about it though, because there's in certain situations in my life that I do ask for help, but then there's others that I don't. And I was actually thinking at this yoga today, I was like, oh, that's annoying. I actually was like, that's so annoying, because in this one situation, I need I need someone to do something, and I'm like, do I feel like it? And I'm like, wait, that's so weird. Why am I pausing there? And I'm like, because we have gotten let down so many times.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just going to leave it with that. Do you have anything you want to add?
I am.
You are what?
Not Juliet Hahn.
Fuck you. All right. Well, we will leave it on that. Thank you for joining another episode of Word Blindness Dyslexia Exposed. We really hope you guys are enjoying season 3. Just stay tuned because it's getting better and better. So like, rate, review, and share. There's me being the confident one. It's getting better and better. We
Says
are
who?
so awesome.
Says who?
Says me.
Yeah. I need attention. I am.
No, I love attention.
Oh,
Or I like attention, I think it was. I like attention.
100%. That's why you want to move, to get all new attention.
Find a new group. No, just Okay, bye. Like, rate, review, and share.